Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of What You Should Be Reading. As always, I'm Aiden Hall, and today we're going to be looking at a very interesting series. It's definitely different. It's not something I would typically recommend, but Liar Game. It's a manga series that started in 2005 and was created by Shinobu Kaitani. You might remember him from One Out. It was a relatively popular baseball anime that came out around 2008. It's based off of his manga, obviously, which I believe ran from 98 to 2006. But there's nothing really quite like Liar Game out there. When you think about recommending series to people, you think about other things that they're into, other things like, are they into horror or action or fantasy or fan service? Liar Game kind of deviates from that. It's more of an introspection on the human condition than it is something that's trying to stand out as something of its genre. It's a very basic idea. When you think about it on paper, what they've made and what has had major success. I mean, this has a Korean drama, it has live-action movies, but at the end of the day, the main story behind this series, the main hold it has on people isn't in its vibrant characters or its robust story. It's in the aforementioned games. It's just weird. Liar Game is so weird and it's so fascinating because of it. I'm probably getting ahead of myself, but just some background on the story without giving too much away. It starts by introducing us to Nao Kanzaki, who is this almost airheaded, bubbly, super trusting, just happy girl who always wants to believe in the best in everybody. In another series, she would be just your typical protagonist who learns that these are the right things to do, and she doesn't need to do anything to change as a person. And that's just who she is. She's just the beam of light that attracts everyone to her. And then it blows up in her face. She puts her faith in the wrong people. She trusts the wrong people. She's tricked into playing this game, and she decides that she's just gonna try and make a deal with her opponent and try and make sure that everything works out for both of them. And without getting, again, into spoilers, and it's really hard not to get into spoilers, obviously that doesn't happen. She realizes that she can't trust everyone. She can't be honest with herself and with everyone else because this is the Liar Game. You need to lie to win. So she goes out and she recruits Akiyama Shoichi to help her. She's basically begging him to help her any way that he can. Teach her something. Help her figure out a strategy to win. She cannot go into this much debt. And he loves playing the system. He goes out and he gets revenge on pharmaceutical companies. He gets revenge on pyramid schemes for trying to take advantage of low-income people. He's doing noble work through shady means. And that's kind of what makes you want to believe that he's the main character of the series and not Nao. But as you keep reading Liar Game, it keeps coming back to Nao. Akiyama is the superior player. He absolutely is, because that's his specialty. But you're not supposed to focus on him. You like seeing him have his Yugimoto fifth piece of Exodia moment, but it doesn't take away from Nao's growth. And that's kind of the interesting thing about Liar Game is all of these games that they compete in, you could feasibly make with a very low budget. You could set it up in just like a classroom and play very small versions of the games that they're playing. There's nothing magical, there's nothing cosmic, there's nothing superficial about it. They don't even have exaggerated movement for most of the time. It's just basically standing around playing a game. There's no violence. There's none. Violence is against the rules. And so you have all these different characters, all these different body types. Everyone can be the king liar or whatever. And so it's left to your mental capacity, thinking 5 moves ahead, 6 moves ahead, 8, 10, 12 moves ahead, tricking your opponent and building these really clever strategies. And each game in and of itself feels like a whole new adventure, a whole new arc, and they relatively are. There's no 2 games except for one group of about 3 games that is its own arc. And so you just watch these people playing these games, and you do get introduced to a couple antagonists. Most famously, probably Norihiko Yokuya. He's got these little mice in his hands, and he has no problem just kind of crushing them when he's too upset, and it's very unsettling when he does it. He is not a good character. He's not a redeemable character. And it's just so neat to see Liar Game, because you have all of these suspenseful supernatural series that, when I think about it, I think Death Note or Erased, where there is this supernatural element, where there is this almost sci-fi element, the time travel in Erased. This doesn't have that. It doesn't have anything that takes it out of being something that could exist in the present day as is. There's very rarely do characters look out of class. They don't look weird. They look like people you would normally see. And it's just really interesting to read through Liar Game. That being said, I do have to warn, it can be a serious grind. There is a ton of reading, there's a ton of paragraphs, and there's a lot of information that you cannot skip over, or you are going to miss something. It is not a light, casual read. It is something you are reading because you are fascinated by it. You may not be interested in it. The art is not stellar. It takes a long time to get over the art. There's a lot of weird character designs, and whether that's intentional or not, it does get grating that when you do have a chance to look at, a full screen of just an image and not have to read thesis on psychology, to see these really weird and awkward looking characters kind of takes you out of it. It makes you want a more polished look. I'm not comparing it to Kakagure in any meaningful way, but Kakagure is a beautiful series to watch and to read. With Liar Game, it's stimulating. It's hyper-stimulating, but it is not a visually attractive read. And I think that comes from the creator being both the artist and the story writer, which sometimes that really does work, but if the story's really good, usually the art isn't, and if the art's really good, usually the story isn't in those cases. Obviously, there's exceptions to the rule, but that's what I've found when I read these kinds of things. So ultimately, if you want that good suspenseful thriller, but you don't want, massive stakes, you don't want the world will end if you don't play chess right now, then read Liar Game. It's, 19 volumes. It's not that long. It feels longer than it is. That's what I can say, is it feels longer than it is. Ultimately, it is a good series. It's a series that you will walk away from feeling like you're definitely a more polished person than you were when you started reading it. It's a series that makes you double take. It makes you rethink things. It's not one that you just, again, it's not some bubblegum happy, there's some jokes, there's some lighthearted moments, but they are few and far between. It's a very realist portrayal. It's a very, without being nihilistic, it is not nihilistic, which I did appreciate about it, because if you look at things like Oyasumi Poon Poon or, I Am a Hero, there's this very nihilistic undertone to these real telling of life narratives. This one does not have that. It's purely a story of growth. It is a story of one girl just wanting to keep believing in the good of mankind and realizing that she can't. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you have anything else you want me to talk about, any other shows that you feel like you want to have a review of, any series, I'll probably keep putting these videos out just because I enjoy talking about my favorite shows and manga. And if you look out for them, check them out. Please support the official release if any of these have an official release, because the more you support the official release, the more you're supporting the original creators, and that allows them to get more money so that they can make more stuff that you'll really enjoy. If you can't support the official release, look up the scanners, the scanlators, the translators, and help them how you can, because they're bringing attention to these series and hopefully bringing them an official English adaptation. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you all have an amazing day.